Hey, what's going on, everybody? I got along with me Tyler and Darnell. I am Trey, and we are coming your way with the second edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. Before we get into this Alabama and Clemson game, I'd just like to give a huge thank you to all the people that checked out the show last week. I was having technical difficulties with the whole YouTube thing, but I definitely should have it figured out and everything by now. So you should, if you're interested, check it out. Wednesday nights. I'm going to try to have it on uploaded around that time or on Thursdays for sure. So just thank you for that. But guys, what y'all think about the Alabama Clemson game?
I definitely think it was, more than people expected. I think Clemson, opened up a lot of eyes and really, brought their A game. They were, with Alabama every step of the way. And I even think they were ahead of Alabama for a lot of the game, until special teams kind of took over for Alabama in the second half. I mean, the game got real exciting at that point, but, I definitely think Alabama, earned a lot of respect on that field Monday night.
Yeah, for sure. We always like to focus on the defense and the offense a lot of the times, but a lot of people can't forget that special teams play a huge role in football. So, and a prime example of that was that kickoff Alabama recovered. That was a nice little play that I really believe truly changed momentum for them. That played a huge role in letting them kind of have a better control of the clock movement of the game. So that was pretty huge on their part. And shout out to my man OJ Howard too. He stepped his game up.
Yeah, you definitely called that one. He had, a lot of big plays, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He made a lot of big plays for Alabama, moving the ball down the field, and a lot of times right when they were struggling the most.
Yeah, that was one thing I was telling y'all earlier. I believe he's overlooked. Yeah, he didn't have a touchdown since 2013. He's not an individual on that team. He's not going to have the numbers like Ridley. But one thing for sure is that whenever they call him, he gets the job done. So he definitely stepped up last night with a bunch of big plays for him. If it wasn't for him, I don't think they would have won that game because he was, 40 yards per catch. That's unbelievable, especially how they were starting to shut down Henry during the second half. So he really played a huge role in that.
I agree with both of you, and I swear I'm not trying to throw shade on OJ Howard, but a lot of that I still blame Clemson on because I think 3 out of 5 of his catches were blown coverage. Somebody missed an assignment. If you have one guy that averages 41 yards a catch, there's an issue. There was no adjustments made on it. Still big up to OJ. He caught the passes that were thrown his way. He got the extra yards. He made those runs to put the points up. But I still put some of that blame on Clemson for just lack of awareness. After getting burned twice by him on long catches, you would think somebody would start looking out for him, a linebacker, a safety, somebody would shade over to him. But then they still let him go wild even on that swing pass in the fourth quarter where he basically put it away. And going back to what you guys were saying earlier, I also agree. I think special teams was that it was what won the game for Alabama, along with Howard's performance. The onside kick, that was a big momentum shift. That they scored off of that, and that pulled them ahead a little bit. And then Kenyon Drake's kickoff return for a touchdown, that was huge.
Yeah.
But I think those factors were basically what swung it in Alabama's favor. And on the other side, I feel bad for not Clemson totally, but mainly Deshaun Watson since he played out of his mind.
Yeah.
Basically, I think he accumulated the most total offense for a quarterback since Vince Young. I think he beat out his total offense that he had against.
He had like 400 yards or something like that, didn't he?
73 yards rushing and 405 passing.
Yeah, wow, it was just passing along. Yeah.
He was ridiculous. Like his
Absolutely.
one mistake was the interception in the first quarter.
Yeah, but he's going to be coming back next year, right?
Yeah, he's only a sophomore.
Okay, yeah. So, one thing, not to get off that much topic, but it's going to be interesting to see him and McCaffrey duel it out for the Heisman next year. That's going to be an absolute joy to watch. But yeah, Watson played out of his mind. He definitely made Alabama struggle on defense with the way he was moving with his legs. So, I was shocked by that. But yeah, the guy's extremely talented.
Yeah, and continuing to talk about Clemson, their defensive line played, a heck of a game. They were giving Coker and that offensive line fits. I mean, late in the game, forgot what his name is, but 76 on the Alabama offensive line. He got a couple holding calls on, late in the game. And, that defensive line for Clemson was really shutting down a lot of what Alabama was trying to do for a big portion of that game.
Yeah. I really it's still early, but I believe they're going to be really favored to win next year. I think Alabama, they're going to have to bring in a new quarterback with that Clemson team, Deshaun Watson, how he carried them in that championship game. If they could just key in a little bit defensively, they can end up doing damage next year.
Yeah, most people have Clemson preseason #1 already because of what they're bringing back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the article that came out shortly after the national championship game, but it was the 2016 way too early poll. That had Clemson #1. So I mean, it's going to be hard to pick against them next year for sure. A lot of people are probably just going to go ahead and pencil them in. Barring injury or something dramatic, they really should be there.
Yeah. And huge shout out to Sweeney as well. That's a former Alabama alum. So he really did his thing. That's going to be a disappointing L for him, but I think I can definitely see him winning the national championship soon with how he coached those guys and had them perform for Monday night. That was truly spectacular. That game is going to go down for ages.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Any other comments on this one?
I think just the last thing, I think kind of for as well as Clemson's defense played and how well Deshaun Watson played, I think it was more of a testament to just how ridiculously good of a team Alabama is, that they still overcame performances like that and won.
Yeah.
This team might go down as like one of the better teams in history. I mean, Derrick Henry, he got back to having his type of game, still had a ton of carries, which I don't know how that fares.
Yeah, I do not like that at all, how they've been using him this season with that. It's, like I said, those running backs, they can take damage. And I like Drake. He really showed what he can do on special teams. Alone, but I wish he could have got more carries as well. But that's a lot of carries to put on a guy.
I agree. And then just with that, I mean, they seem to have good games out of everybody that they needed to. Coker was Coker. He was consistent. He threw for a lot of yards actually for a championship game and didn't turn the ball over. I don't think Alabama turned the ball over at all. So that was just another feather in the cap for how Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin and getting ready to lose a defensive coordinator, they still had them prepared to do work and win that title.
Yeah. Hold on. So Kirby is actually leaving?
Yeah, he took the Georgia job.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's going to be missed then. Yeah, I thought they somehow negotiated a contract for him. But yeah.
Georgia actually has a top 10 recruiting class coming in next year, so it'll be interesting to see how he's going to handle being, the head guy at a big time program.
Yeah, that's going to hurt. I do got a question for you, Darnell, for sure. I mean, Tyler, you can chime in on this one as well. But I was looking at the post game interview with Saban, and he said that he didn't really want to say it, but he felt as if this Alabama team was his favorite team. Out of all the teams that Saban has coached for Alabama that's won a national championship, you think this was the best one?
Like I said, they're up there. It's either them or the Ingram Richardson team. I mean, just that stable of backs. You got Julio Jones, and that defense was also crazy. You had Marcel Darius. Like they shut down people and they ran over them. They weren't a flashy team because I mean, Julio really didn't like how his early NFL career was. Like that season, he was still limping in most games.
Yeah,
but they still just kind of just housed everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this could be maybe not necessarily their best team, but I think definitely one of their most mentally tough teams. I mean, when they lost to Ole Miss, even Nick Saban wrote them off. He's like, there's next to no chance now. I mean, granted, they got a lucky play from Arkansas to beat Ole Miss. That big 4th and 25 play, over the head, lateral, or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, but the tip catch.
Yeah, whatever it was. But, everybody was writing them off and how they were, a disappointment this year.
Yeah,
and they found a way to squeak in and then found a way to win it all. So,
and real quick too, huge shout out to Coker, because a quarterback, you can be looked as a leader of the team. For this guy to get benched earlier this year and then to take that, use that as motivation and to work hard and really improve after that, that really shows a lot about his character.
Yeah, absolutely. So this team's definitely a special one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody that wrote them Dynasty Over articles, you look kind of dumb right now.
Yeah, and to what's his name, Colin Coward.
Yeah.
He was blasting them too about how they get favorited every year and then they end up winning the championship. So, yeah. All right, guys. Anything else?
I think that about covers it.
Covered it.
All right, so let's get into recap last week's playoffs games. Let's start off with Houston versus Chiefs first. What you guys think about that, other than it was pathetic on Houston's part?
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and, kind of talk about the weekend as a whole for a quick second.
Okay.
Wild card weekend was definitely wild. We had, just some crazy moments for sure. Two in particular, and we'll touch on those when it's the time. But I think this was definitely one of the most memorable playoff weeks in a long time. So with that, I mean, the playoffs started with a bang. A 106 kickoff return. For a touchdown. The game was over. Based on the score. But I think Kansas City did what a lot of people thought they were going to do. They forced Hoyer into making some really bad throws, and I mean, they had 4 turnovers in the first half.
Yeah.
That if that defense didn't, win them the game, then their offense did. They moved the ball with some ease, and their defense gave them good field position. And, just Alex Smith, just doesn't really turn the ball over. And, they just played a sound, fundamental game. And, in reality, we're the better team, coming in hot, 10 wins straight, make it 11. And, I think they just took care of their business.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game was just awful.
Yeah.
Tyler covered it all. I mean, just out of the gate, Kansas City basically stepped on them with the return, and then Murphy's Law happened with Houston. Everything that could go wrong did. But, I mean, Hoyer had a 1.7 QBR. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. 4 picks. J.J. Watt in and out of the game with injuries. Just ridiculous stuff happening. And KC did what they needed to do. Alex Smith was himself, like not doing too much, but not hurting him. He did his job. He got his almost 200 yards passing and a touchdown. Did throw the 1 interception, but they got it right back. And their defense, I'm not sure if they really had to work too hard with the passes Hoyer was throwing, but
Yeah.
they did what they needed to do. This game was kind of not much to talk about just because it was Houston got boat raced.
Yeah, we could talk about it later, but hopefully maybe instead of Hoyer, they could have RG3 next year, Houston. That could change them around, but we could touch on that later. Yeah, I was actually napping during this game. I got a text from Tyler that about the kickoff return, and like I looked at it, I just went back to sleep. Like that was just thank goodness I didn't watch it. Like that was I did not want to watch that.
Yeah,
but,
the game really wasn't even appealing, on paper. People knew that Houston has a struggling offense and a struggling quarterback. If anything, their defense was going to keep them in it, but kind of they just that defense didn't do near enough. They didn't really make any plays. They had the one turnover, but one turnover isn't going to do it when your offense is turning it over too. So the big takeaway I think from this game, and especially moving forward for the divisional round, is what's going to be the health of Jeremy Maclin.
Oh yeah,
hurt his knee. It looks like reports have it that there is no structural damage, so there wasn't a tear. But is he going to be too banged up to play against the Patriots? Because I think Kansas City's going to need all the help they can get offensively. They're going to need everybody there.
Yeah. Anything else, guys, on this game? I mean, the game pretty much spoke for itself. But
yeah, it was horrible. If I didn't have to talk about it, I wouldn't have watched it.
Yeah.
All right, Utah.
Yeah, I'm just happy it's over. I'm thankful I had a puzzle to work on from Christmas during that game.
Oh man. All right, what's you guys' take on Green Bay versus the Redskins?
Aaron Rodgers got off to a slow start, but returned to form. He looked like the Aaron Rodgers we know in the second half, especially.
Yep.
He made some big passes. He just kind of took control. He was Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. He was, while I was watching the game, at least in the first half, I was just thinking, is this going to be how Aaron Rodgers really closes the season? Because Washington was hanging with him. Kirk Cousins was moving the ball. He had a heck of a game. I really thought in the first half, I thought Washington might be able to do it. But then, once the second half hit, Aaron Rodgers kind of stepped up and, was the experienced quarterback that he is. And it showed.
Yeah, like I was saying last week, sometimes it boils down to experience. Roger, he's been there. Yeah, he did start off slow, but this was something that wasn't new to him. So I kind of expected him to get it together a little bit for the Packers.
Yeah, it was a game that started interesting with Washington basically putting up all the early points, going up 11-0. I believe they were up before finally Green Bay started doing work. Then Rodgers kind of turned into himself, had a solid game, 2 touchdowns, 81.6 QBR between their two backs, Lacey and Starks. They actually had a solid game between the two, 24 carries for about 120 yards or so, 2 touchdowns. And Washington, they moved the ball like crazy. Cousins put up 329 yards passing, but it's just they couldn't get enough points to deal with Green Bay.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins, he did have a pretty good game. I expected him to not really do as good, just because it was his first playoff game, but he's really turned it around. It's going to be interesting to see how he can play with this Redskins team in the future.
Hopefully that money don't go to his head because he's going to get a lot next year.
You believe so?
You're a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's who they've hitched their wagon on. So he's going to get starting NFL money, whether you think he's an elite quarterback or not. You can debate that all you want, but it's just
now. Do you think he's an elite quarterback?
No.
Okay.
No, I think he's a lot better than I thought he was. Say game 2 of this year.
Yeah.
He's a serviceable starter now. I believe that. I believe he can start and handle a team. I did not think that earlier in the year with all the interceptions he was throwing, but he settled down. Like he didn't turn the ball over himself this game.
Yeah.
So you can't throw it on him just self-destructing in the playoff game. He did as much as he could. He just didn't have the touchdowns. But yeah, he's going to probably sign a long-term deal, getting himself probably $20 million a year or something. But I mean, I think he's at this point in time, he's in the top half of the league, other than the bottom half in quarterbacks.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's going to get, a pretty nice paycheck coming in over the next couple of years. But I think, one of the interesting stories here was when the Redskins drafted Kirk Cousins, there was a lot of, heads turned thinking, why would you draft 2 quarterbacks? You just drafted your franchise guy. And I don't think anybody would have guessed 4 years ago that RG3 would be the guy, exiting stage left.
Yeah.
And, I think it's, just true testament to drafting in those mid rounds. He was a 4th round pick, 102nd overall. Those mid rounds in the draft are more valuable than people realize. And whoever decided to draft Cousins in that spot now looks like a genius. Whereas 4 years ago, he looked, kind of like it may have been a weird decision.
Well, I think that was Shanahan's decision. I believe he had personnel control during that draft still. So, he decided on both quarterbacks, I believe.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
ended up, I guess, working out for the best, but I don't think anybody saw Cousins being the guy over RG3.
Yeah, I definitely did not see that coming. So
makes a great story, though.
Yeah.
Go green.
All right. We'll see what your boy Cook does, man. I'm gonna be blasting you about that later on, but we'll see. I won't down talk him yet.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more when the combine and the draft roll around.
Yeah.
In a few months here.
All right. Any other thoughts on that?
No.
All right. Now we're about to get to the good stuff now. Thought about old Ray Finkel when I saw this game, man. Minnesota versus Seattle. What were your guys' thoughts?
The temperatures really played a pretty big factor here. It got up to 0 at one point. That was like the high temperature during the game. Neither team was really able to pass the ball. It was kind of a slow game, to be honest, until the end. I mean, you had Blair Walsh, kicking field goals all day and, obviously missed the most important one. But, I think the biggest play of the game was still when Russell Wilson fumbled the snap and passed it to Tyler Lockett for 35 yards. I mean, I don't think anybody saw, such a struggle coming out of Seattle there.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely thought that Seattle was going to end up playing better than they did just by seeing how they played against Arizona the week prior. I thought they were going to come out there storming out of the gate, but clearly that wasn't the case. Saw a lot of people commenting on social media websites saying how lucky of a team they are and stuff like that. But either way, if you're Minnesota, you got to get the job done. I was going to ask you guys too. Adrian Peterson, he was saying that he was to blame for the loss, but who would you guys say is to blame?
The
holder?
Laces out. I mean, personally, I don't really think there's anybody to blame. I mean, Minnesota got themselves in position to win, and they just didn't. I mean, this, reminds me of all the last second wins we've seen this year. The Michigan State, fumbled punt. I mean, can you blame a low snap? Yeah. Can you blame the punter? Yeah. But it's like you just got to make the play when you need to.
Yeah.
There's really no one to blame. It was just you didn't make the play.
I mean, Darnell, you say the holder. I mean, I agree, but Peterson, 23 rushes for 45 yards.
Well,
I mean, if he would have had a good game,
yeah, it's like with most games. I mean, the freshest thing in anybody's mind is always going to be the last play, especially if it's something where you have a chance to win and it doesn't. So most people's eyes are on Blair Walsh. And if you look into the technicality of it, how you should be holding the football, if you're the holder, they'll put some blame on him. Blair Walsh is taking full responsibility for missing. He's trying to bear that. That's cool. I can deal with it. But, I mean, I agree with Adrian Peterson should take some of the load. He is the star of that team.
Yeah.
He's the leader of that team. He did not have a good game. 23 carries for 45 yards. And he's the best running back in football, but how does he fumble so much? I don't understand how somebody that's that good fumbles that much. And his fumble was bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I mean, if there's anything you can knock a genetic freak like Adrian Peterson for, it's just he cannot hold on to the
football. Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah, I mean, but it makes sense, even statistics aside. I mean, I think Adrian Peterson could have run for, 140 whatever yards and would still take some of the blame if they lost, just because he is the leader of that team.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think no matter what his stats were, he'd still be sitting there saying he didn't do enough. So.
Yeah, I can definitely hear you there. All right, anything else, guys?
I think that game was big for the Minnesota Vikings. They're a young team. They have a lot of young talent. I think if they can keep that defense where it needs to be, and if they can keep the progression of Teddy Bridgewater moving in the right direction, I think they can, get over that, this hump and, win a playoff game in the near future.
Yeah.
I agree. They're building something nice there, and they're in a good situation right now. They play in a weaker division in football. Basically, one team you consistently worry about is Green Bay, and honestly, I still say they're kind of on the downside of this team that they have right now. So yeah, young quarterback, and I mean if you look at the advanced metrics, he outplayed Russell Wilson. He didn't throw for a touchdown, but
yeah,
43.3 QBR to 21 on Russ's side. The interception hurt him, but I mean, Teddy showed he can play with one of the best in the business. And I mean, 0 degrees, you put up numbers with somebody that's been through it. That's some respect.
Yeah, and what's the saying? Just give yourself a chance to win, and Teddy Bridgewater did that. He gave them a chance to win. Granted, it wasn't just him, but as the quarterback, that falls on your shoulders. He moved the ball down the field, and they were in a position to win, and they didn't.
Yeah. Be interesting to see how they bounce back from that. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, now the good one. This game was wow. That's all I can say. Pittsburgh versus Cincy. What do you guys think?
I definitely think it lived up to the hype. Beforehand, the teams were warned about their on-field behavior. That clearly didn't stop them from acting how they wanted to.
Yep.
It was hard football. It was, an entertaining game. The weather played a bit of a factor, all that rain. And, I really think what happened at the end, obviously took away from the football game itself. But, it was kind of sad to watch. It was like watching a bad car accident, just when you think things can't get worse, the car caught fire. And, you just couldn't look away. It was a very interesting sequence, how it all broke down.
Yes.
Yeah, it comes down to like a tale of one quarter for Cincy. I mean, they couldn't get anything done for 3 quarters. Not that Pittsburgh was just dominating them or anything, but they could at least get points on the board. And then Gio Bernard goes out, and then all of a sudden it seems like that sparked something with the Bengals. They start hitting harder, and I mean, it was working for them while it was going. Like Burfict turned into Lawrence Taylor and like any other great NFL player that you want to think of, all in the same body. He seemed to be all over the field. He made the hit on Roethlisberger that put him out for a while. Big interception on Landry Jones that he made. Like, turned into a monster. But then all of a sudden he turned from Jekyll to Hyde, and basically him and Pac-Man ruined the game. And like, it's just amazing to see. Just like Tyler was saying, they turned in like they're looking like world beaters for the first part of the fourth quarter, and then the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter they turned into a complete dumpster fire.
Yeah,
and cost themselves the game.
Okay, go ahead, keep talking.
No, you got it.
Okay, but yeah, like one thing that how should I say this? A lot of people were blaming it on Burfict and Pac-Man, but one issue that I have, you kind of mentioned it, is that they went scoreless for the first three quarters. Yeah, it was a close game, but at the end of the day, like I said last week, these are the playoffs. You know, when you start in the playoffs, you got to come out the gate storming, putting points on the board. So for me, you know, they lost by 2 points. If they could have just managed to get a field goal and just out of the first three quarters, we're looking at a different team going into this week playing for the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I do tough calls for Pac-Man and Burfict. But at the end of the day, it's like, come on, guys. You guys are a very talented team. You could have at least put 3 points on the board in the first.
I would agree with you if Pittsburgh just went down the field and got that last second field goal.
I agree.
But that wasn't the case. Like, since he was playing good D, like all of that happened. That would have made it 3rd and 9 or 4th and 9 when all that broke down. But they would have had Pittsburgh in a situation where they knew what they had to do and were at least halfway there to getting them off the field.
Yeah.
But then, they allow that to happen. They get 2 15-yard penalties. They make what still would have been a long field goal turn into a extra point. And there's no way I can't blame those two players for that.
But what about Joey Porter's part? Because a lot of people are saying that, hey, this guy shouldn't have been on the field.
That's true. He should, but you're a professional football player. In the playoffs, you know what's on the line. You need to hold your tongue and keep your hands to yourself and go play the down.
I have a really interesting take there. I think, it was an injury timeout. Coaches are allowed on the field during injury timeouts. AB, I think, was out for a second. I think he was out cold. He got rocked.
Oh, yeah.
But one interesting I saw there, when they showed the replay and you saw Pac-Man Jones shoving Joey Porter, what was he doing in a group of heated Bengals players arguing with the referee? Why was he not around his own players? I think that's very, very interesting. I mean, granted, what do they say? The retaliator is always the one that gets caught. Yeah. Now we don't know what happened in there. Obviously, we know what Pac-Man thinks happened during the whole thing. But, I really wonder if, Joey Porter was in there, ruffling some feathers a little bit.
Well, that's how he was as a player. I don't doubt that he was. But it's just, like I said, you get to that level, you're not in high school. You're not even in college.
Absolutely.
And these are two veteran players. These aren't players that have, just got into the league. You need to know if it's a situation like this, you go to your team and you get ready to play that next down.
Absolutely.
Especially real quick with Pac-Man, because this guy, he's had a lot of trouble. Very interesting past with having problems in the league. He smashed Amari Cooper's up into the helmet or something like that earlier this year.
Yeah.
Slammed his head into that. So he already knows that the referees and people are going to look at him and portray him a certain way. I think he should have done a better job of just keeping his cool there. Even though, like I said, we all know that there was animosity between these two teams, and it's going to continue to probably still be that way. You definitely got to keep your cool in a game like this.
Yeah, I also didn't understand, especially the second penalty. The first penalty is like, okay, whatever, it happened. You do have to move on from that. But, Roethlisberger banged up, struggling to throw the football. I don't understand why you'd want to give them yards. Yeah. You're basically saying you're hurt here. We'll give you some help. That alone, like Darnell said, knowing the situation, you can't afford really any personal foul at that point, let alone two of them.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even a good pass to Antonio Brown where he got laid out. Like, it was not going to get caught, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
So do you guys think that was 100% dirty play?
No. I mean, he was trying to lay a hit on him. I mean, it had gotten to that point.
It ended as a dirty hit, but I don't think the intent was there.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't looking to knock him unconscious, but he was, you're over the middle, I'm about to make you pay for it. That was the intent.
Okay.
But it got worse.
Now, do you guys think that Burfict is a dirty player?
Borderline.
Borderline. Who's a dirtier player, him or Sue?
I think Sue has the history. I think Burfict is kind of building a reputation.
Okay.
But I think Sue has some of the plays Sue made while in Detroit, getting to watch him week after week were just mindless. They were just dumb. It's just like it's like he didn't know what he was doing out there. Burfict, I think, and especially from this playoff game, the end result may be dirty, but I don't necessarily know that there's intent there as to where Ndamukong Suh is just stomping on Aaron Rodgers. Like, there's intent there. So I think it's still a little too early to judge. He got suspended for the first 3 games of next season. I think we'll see how he bounces back from that. I mean, it's kind of like saying, is James Harrison a dirty player? James Harrison just makes big hits. Are they dirty? They may end up dirty, but I don't know necessarily if there's intent there. But it's all going to be judgment and opinion, and that's where we are.
He's one of those players that plays with a little bit of an edge to him. So it's one of those players you're going to have to live with getting some 15-yarders up to a suspension with him. Okay. I don't think it may build to that point in playing games like this where you're playing a division rival that you hate.
Yeah.
But I think he'd make that hit on just about anybody just as he plays.
I agree.
He's one of those kind of reckless abandon type dudes. He's going to give you 110%, but sometimes he's going to cross lines and do something stupid.
Yeah, I mean, can you really can you blame him as a football player? Can you blame him for not wanting to give up his space on the field? I mean, someone comes across the middle, you want them to know that you're there. You don't want to just be like, oh, I'll let him catch it and then I'll just get him down. You want to lay him out. You want to hit him hard. I don't necessarily know that we can blame him for wanting to put contact on Antonio Brown. I think it just was the wrong time to do it.
Yeah.
As an end result, and hindsight's always 20/20. We got to remember that. We see the end result and how both those penalties played really big factors. But I do think that it was him just trying to make a very hard play, and it just ended up costing him that time.
Yeah. Real quick, what did you guys think of the NFL's suspension for Burfict? Do you agree with it or what?
I don't know enough about Burfict's past. to know whether it's appropriate or not. I do think it was a very hard hit. I do think the NFL is trying to really crack down on things like that. I mean, we saw Odell Beckham Jr. get one game.
Yeah.
But, I think his spear attempt at Josh Norman deserved a little more than one game because there's no place for that in football at all. But I do think that.
Hold on, real quick. Say it again. You think who should have got 2 games?
Odell Beckham Jr. I think that
wow.
I think
we
that,
should have talked about that. That would have been good.
Yeah, but I think that spear attempt to Josh Norman was just way over the line and a little too much. Like I said, there's just no room for that at all. But I do think it was a high hit, whether it was on purpose or not, should not be the focal point. I think it should be the fact that it was a high hit and it was a really hard hit. Yeah. Three games, I don't know. One maybe. I mean, I just don't know. It's too hard for me to judge.
Yeah, I kind of I don't know really that much about Burfict's pass either to come up with what they should have done to him. I just know that looking at that game last week that he's a very hard-nosed player. He kind of reminds me of some of those old school guys who used to play, like you could kind of talking about it, Darnell, like a LT in a way. Like he's aggressive, wants to hit hard, he wants to defend the space. So I can't really blame a defensive player for doing that.
I'm not mad at the suspension. I wouldn't have been mad if it was 2. I think it needed more than 1. So 2-3, I'm not mad about it. I think it's it was a building thing. Like everybody was worried about the hit on Roethlisberger that put him out. That was a clean hit, but yep. I think people were looking at it a little bit because I believe he had an issue earlier this year with hitting Brady low.
Yeah,
where they thought he was doing it on purpose. Because there was a couple times where he went down around his knee and ankle and hit him in a game. So I think it was just kind of a building thing where they said enough is enough. So it's not enough to fine you. We're going to sit you down a couple games.
Now, one thing I do expect to see moving forward is consistency on the part of the NFL. I don't want to start seeing.
I don't know, man. With Roger Goodell, it's
consistency
and Roger Goodell don't mix, man.
I know, and that's the one thing I think the NFL really needs to do is next season and later in the postseason, if we see more big hits like that are to the head or that are just plain dirty hits, I think we do need to see suspensions, and I don't care who it is and I don't care who it happens to. I think it just needs to be consistent, because if they really talk about concussions and the health of these players, they need to show it.
Yeah, I hear you there.
I think they will probably make more of an effort since people are starting to look at it more seriously, and you got the movie that came out over Christmas,
Concussion. Yeah,
like once that starts going out over DVD, especially if it has gets back into the conversation and sales grow for it, and Netflix views and stuff pick up, I think they'll have no choice but to be a little more consistent with not only keeping the concussed players out of games, but also making the penalty a little higher for people that are making those hits to the head.
Yep. Any other thoughts, guys?
No, I think we're ready to move to the divisional rounds.
All right, let's get to it. Saturday we have Kansas City versus New England. New England has spread of -5. What do you guys think about the line?
I don't think we're going to disagree with many of the lines. I think our predictions from last week are going to change a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we were a little too, zealous on some of our picks. So I think we'll see, some more conservative picks out of us here.
Yeah.
I like New England in this game. I think Tom Brady is, He's a true general on the field. He knows how to win. He has, I believe, 4 Super Bowls, working on 5. He's done it with a lot of these same guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this team is, used to the stage. They're used to winning when it counts. They've lost 4 of their last 6, which is interesting. They lost home field throughout. I think that might be a little motivation for them moving, past Kansas City here. I think, something interesting to watch is going to be that Kansas City defense against Tom Brady. Tom Brady, who doesn't turn the ball over. Is Kansas City going to be able to force turnovers, whether it is through interceptions, or are they going to get the run game to fumble or wide receivers to fumble after the catch? I think Kansas City is going to have to force some turnovers if they want to be in this game. I said, I don't know that they do enough offensively. With Macklin being hurt, if he does not play, that's going to make I believe that'll make their leading receiver, Travis Kelce, their tight end.
Yeah.
And during the second half of the season, he remained fairly quiet. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. And I do think the story is going to be that New England offense gets that Kansas City defense.
All right. Yeah.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying there. I think it comes down to can Kansas City take advantage of the revolving door offensive line that New England's had going this year. They seem to have a new front every week. So I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on Kansas City's front seven. They're going to have to try and dial up some nice blitz packages to try and keep Brady off his spots, because if he can stand back there and just throw BBs to people, they're not going to be beaten. I don't care how well Kansas City plays. And then on the other side, I think this is a game that calls for Alex Smith to have to go out of his comfort zone and throw downfield a little more. Like, even if he doesn't have Macklin, probably more so even, you're going to have to challenge the Patriots defense, which I think can be had if you have a good enough offense, but I'm not so sure they can do it. But I think those are the key factors, is if Kansas City's front can get to Brady, and if Alex Smith can do more than just be consistent old Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely interesting to see how Kansas City can play against the injury-prone Patriots. So, like I said last week, I believe the Patriots are going to end up winning it all this year just because of Tom Brady. He's always finds a way to at least make it to the Super Bowl, it seems. But yeah, definitely Kansas City, their defense played spectacular against Houston last week, but they're going up against a completely different quarterback that's on a whole nother level compared to Hoyer. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
I also think moving forward, what's going to be really interesting to watch is going to be the health of Macklin and Edelman, both of these teams' top receivers.
Yeah.
I think, New England is far better off without Edelman. Well, I'm not saying they're better without Edelman, but they're better off without Edelman than Kansas City is without Macklin.
Yeah.
So, they have weapons in New England. They still have Amendola, who's a very similar type of receiver as Edelman. Yeah, he's basically, Edelman, number 2. And then, Gronk is going to be big for them like he always is. Brandon LaFell struggles with some drop issues, but, he's still, a veteran receiver who can play and has game. And I think the health of those two guys are going to be pretty big, especially for Kansas City, because without Jeremy Macklin, I don't know who they're going to be, force feeding the ball to outside of Travis Kelce, because they're going to need more than him.
Yeah. I am kind of nervous about this game a little bit because I forgot what the score was, but the last time Kansas City played New England, I believe they blew them out think they put like 41 on them or something like that. So hopefully they have it together up in the playoffs. But I think this should definitely be a good game worth watching.
Last time they played them, though, that was last year, wasn't it? Last season?
Or the
Yeah.
year,
Yeah, last year, that's when Kansas City blew them out and everyone was starting to question Tom Brady.
Yeah, that was when Brady got benched in the fourth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
But that game was also at Kansas City, I believe.
yeah.
So this time they're in Foxborough. The Patriots are very tough to beat at home, especially once the weather gets cold. Tom Brady has stepped up in those elements.
Yeah.
I think, we said it about Aaron Rodgers last week. I think the name Tom Brady alone gives them the edge.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'll go ahead and open up the predictions here, but I think New England, if they have Edelman, will have no problem getting over 30 points on them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to, Edelman hasn't played for numerous weeks, so I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction, assuming he's not going to play.
Okay.
So, without Edelman, I think, they'll get pretty close to 30, but I'm going to go 28-17 in favor of New England.
Okay, I'm going to go 27, 27-17 Patriots.
I'm making it a little closer. I do think that Kansas City's D might be able to make a little bit of noise. I'm not saying they're going to cause a bunch of turnovers like they did against the Texans, but I do think there might be a little bit of familiarity playing them, not from last year's game, but playing Houston last week. Bill O'Brien, former coordinator for the Patriots. Hoyer used to be Brady's backup. So there might be some things they bring from that matchup to play him.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the Patriots still pulling it out. Probably, I think Kansas City may cover. So 24-20, I'm going to call it.
24-20. Okay. Any other statements about this game?
I think it'll be interesting to watch how Bill Belichick handles the Patriots here. I think, a lot like Saban, he may try and pull something off that gives them some momentum if they're falling behind a little bit.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick, just like Nick Saban, and, we saw it Monday night, is not scared to pull a trigger on something that would be controversial if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I think watching Bill Belichick handle this team this weekend is going to be, something interesting to keep their eye on, especially if they start losing some momentum during any point of the game.
Yeah.
Let's just hope he doesn't take the wind if it goes to overtime again.
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that, in reality, that cost him home field, if you really look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And also losing to the Jets, AFC East rival, it's not a good way to go in toward the end of your season.
Exactly. All right, we got up next for Saturday that we have Green Bay versus Arizona. Arizona has spread of -7. So what do you guys think about that game?
I think, Arizona has found, kind of fool's gold in the long veteran quarterbacks that have battled injuries. They did it with Kurt Warner. He led them to the Super Bowl where they eventually lost to Pittsburgh. And they're doing it again with Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
I think, what Bruce Arians is doing down there currently is phenomenal. He's taking, guys and kind of revitalizing their careers. This is the best year Larry Fitzgerald has had in a very long time. It's the best year Carson Palmer has probably had in his career. Chris Johnson has shown, some form of the old CJ2K.
Yeah.
He's had moments, and they're starting to really utilize David Johnson as a running back, having a great rookie year.
Yeah.
So all facets of their offense have clicked this year, and they have been a lot of fun to watch. They can rack up points like nobody else.
Yeah.
And on top of that, their defense has looked pretty good too all year. They were, hot playing fantasy football all year for a lot of people. They create turnovers. They score. Some games they've been a second offense out there.
Yeah.
We watched them, just totally beat up some teams this year. So, I think they are really poised coming in despite that loss to Seattle. I think they're still very confident in who they are as a football team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with the spread on it. I mean, Arizona, just like kind of how Tyler laid it out, they've been ridiculously good this year on both sides of the ball. Carson Palmer's an MVP candidate. They've taken a next man up mentality. Chris Johnson went out. David Johnson comes in, and that was already after losing their starting running back from last year with turf toe. So. Yeah. I mean, Arizona, I think they're a team to be reckoned with. Like I said last week, they're my Super Bowl pick out of the NFC. So they're playing against a very good quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, but with all the injuries they've had, I don't think they have enough to deal with this defense coming at them. And it was a big loss for Arizona to lose the Honey Badger, but even without them, I still think some of the blitz packages they run and how well their secondary plays overall.
Absolutely.
I think Patrick Peterson is probably going to lock up whoever they put him in front of for Green Bay, and it's going to make a long day for him.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll put him on Randall Cobb. I don't see them putting him on James Jones, and I don't see them putting him on Adams if he's healthy enough to play. I know he's a topic of concern for the Packers right now, but with Aaron Rodgers getting off to a slow start, I don't necessarily know that they can afford to fall behind Arizona by 2 possessions like they did with Washington. I don't think Arizona would allow them to crawl back into the game. Now, I'm not saying it'll get to a point at the end where, Green Bay might score a garbage time touchdown and get it within 14. But, I think Arizona will control this game I'm not going to say easily, because Green Bay knows what it takes to win. And they'll come out and they'll play real hard. But I think Arizona's going to have to fight for what they earn for sure. But I do see them handling their business this week.
So both of you guys got Arizona?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to have to go with an upset alert. Just a gut feeling. I think Rodgers is going to go out there. He's going to know that they can't just start off slow. I think we're going to get a good glimpse of the old Aaron Rodgers, and I just feel as if somehow they can just pull it off against this team. They're going to get something going for it. I don't know, but the Packers, I think they're going to be underestimated a little bit. All good things have to come to an end. I'm pretty impressed with what Carson Palmer has been able to do, but still a little shaky on how they played against Seattle. I hope that they were just taking it easy when they played against Seattle. They had a week off and everything. You can be a little rusty when you come back from having that bye, but I think Aaron Rodgers, I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to find a way to pull it off. So just an upset.
What do you have on predictions? We'll let you open it up.
I have Packers 24-21.
Okay, I'm going to stick with Arizona. I think Green Bay has allowed people to pass on them all year. I mean, last week, Kirk Cousins threw on him, and he doesn't have near the weapons that Carson Palmer has at his disposal.
Sure.
So I think they're going to be able to utilize the long ball like they have all year. And I'm going to go Arizona 35-21.
All right.
I'm with Tyler on that one. I feel like Arizona should be able to do whatever they want to do, especially in the late stages of the game. I'm not having quite as big a win as Tyler has, but I'm going 31-21.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to cover about it?
No, I think just it's going to be interesting to see what kind of a start Aaron Rodgers gets off to. Is it going to be a start where they fall down a couple possessions, or is it going to be a hot start, and will he be able to maintain that? If Aaron Rodgers comes firing out of the gate, I think we're going to be in for a really good matchup. But if he gets off to a slow first quarter again, I think they could be in for some real trouble.
I think he knows what he has to do. I think he knows that he's going to have to go out there, start hot, and get his team going. So I just got a feeling, got to go with my gut sometimes. So I just think the Packers going to find a way to do it. All right, up next we have Seattle versus Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers have the line with a -2.5. So what do you guys think about this matchup? I'm looking forward to this game the most.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be, if you want to go by ratings, the highest viewed game for sure. I think we got, what many people, think to be the favorite in the NFC in the Carolina Panthers against one of the hotter teams in the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson knows how to win. He knows how to get to the Super Bowl. He's won one of them, at least appeared in another. And a lot of people are still waiting for Cam Newton to really make his mark in the postseason.
Yeah.
I think, it's going to be two great defenses that show up. And I think it's going to be two offenses trying to crash some defensive parties this week. Both offenses have proven they can move the ball and score.
Yeah.
But both defenses have also proved to stop other good offenses. So I think this is definitely going to be a game of who makes the first mistake and who's going to capitalize on it. We're going to see, Josh Norman again, go up against, most likely Doug Baldwin, who's turned it on this year.
Yeah.
And then, we're going to see, Cam Chancellor hawking, Cam Newton's arm. So is his feet going to be a factor, or is he going to be able to beat him with his arm?
Yeah. I'm a little nervous for Seattle. I'm not going to lie, just with how they played last week. And they're not really, if you look at the history of them for the last couple of years, they're not really been known to play good away. So this one, I believe it's going to be interesting with how they're going to end up playing, especially with what are we going to see from Marshawn Lynch this week as well. So it's I'm a little bit shaky. I did say that it's going to be a rematch between them and the Patriots, but just those factors that I stated, I think this could end up playing a huge impact for Seattle when they go travel to Carolina.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a slugfest. I mean, these teams kind of mirror each other. I think Seattle's more talented.
Yeah.
But they both they play a smash mouth style of football. They have exciting quarterbacks and they play really good defense.
Yep.
I'm just wondering if Seattle, since they're getting healthier, if that's just going to be an issue for Carolina. So, I mean, it's amazing what they have done and what Cam Newton's been able to accomplish with this team. I still don't get how they have the record they have, especially offensively. It's Greg Olsen, and then, I don't care about any receiver they have. I mean, they got Ted Ginn, who gets in the end zone but gets no yards. Funchess kind of came on at the end of the year, but I don't get. It just makes me more so. I don't see how you not name Cam Newton MVP. So, yeah. But I think this will, like Tyler said, this is the appointment viewing game for everybody. If you don't watch any playoff game, this is the one that you will try to get home to see. I think the key factor is just can Cam put him on his back for another game?
Yeah.
Get him to that next level, and then I just wonder how Seattle's run game is going to look. I mean, they've been without Lynch for so long.
Yeah.
He looks like he's getting to go this week, but do they still turn in some Christine Michael to see what he can do.
Yeah.
So definitely interested to see how this one goes. The line, I think, is perfectly set on this one. It's basically you're giving Carolina the home field goal. So it's a pick.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to watch Marshawn Lynch throughout the week, seeing updates on him, because everybody thought he was going to be a go last week, and then kind of last minute, said he can't go. And the interesting thing on that was he was taking first team reps all week last week. And then when it got time for the game, he couldn't go. They kind of scrambled together and made a run plan for Christine Michael kind of last minute. So it's going to be interesting to see if he actually does go this week. I assume he will. A lot of people will view this one as the one, kind of like if you win this game, you'll probably be favored next week despite Arizona being at home if Seattle wins. I think if Seattle wins this week, they'll be favored going into next week.
Yeah.
I like Darnell said, this is going to be the one people will make sure they're home from church in plenty of time for this one.
Yeah. All right. What are you guys' predictions for the score? I'll start. Like I said, I feel a little nervous about Seattle, just with how they played last week and how sometimes they can play at away games. So I did pick them to be in the Super Bowl, so I got to go with them. But I'll go Seattle 2017.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of follow suit there with you there, Trey, and I picked them to be my Super Bowl winner. I think Russell Wilson is going to continue to be Russell Wilson and lead this team from a very humble standpoint and from a very just, calm demeanor. I think one thing Seattle has done this year was they have played to their competition.
Yeah.
They lost to St. Louis twice. They lost to, outside of that, both of those St. Louis losses, they lost to some pretty good teams. I mean, they lost to the Packers, who are in the playoffs. They lost to the Bengals, who made the playoffs, and then they lost to the Panthers, who they're playing this week. So it's not like they played that bad this year.
Yeah.
They just got off to a really poor start. And then Cam Chancellor came back and they kind of found their groove.
Just got their groove back, yeah.
So, I mean, they know how to win. They know what it takes to win. I think Cam Newton's still trying to find that a little bit. So I'm going to go Seattle. I'm going to go Seattle 28 to 21.
All right.
Yeah, I think even though last week was really low scoring against Minnesota, I think a lot of that did have to do with them playing in Antarctic.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be a little more loose this week. Playing in Carolina, the weather should be better. And like I said, I just feel like this is the time where talent is going to win games, and Cam is a beast, but he does not have enough pieces around him.
Yeah.
Greg Olsen is a top 5 tight end, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
So give me Seattle 24-21.
Okay. Any other statements on this game, guys?
I do think, like Darnell just said, Greg Olsen is not enough. Ted Ginn is probably their next best option.
Yeah, and Ted Ginn, he is known to drop some key passes sometimes.
Yeah, and for me, it's not just that. He's feast or famine.
Yeah.
And I think the Seattle defense is good enough to bring a famine over Carolina this week.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I do think Cam Newton will still put up some points for Carolina. I think he's going to put one in himself. He is too good to be kept off the scoreboard, in my opinion. So I think Seattle, like Darnell said, just has more playmakers. And I think on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. All right, our next game, we have Pittsburgh versus Denver. Denver has a -6.5. spread lead. And what do you guys got to say about this one?
This game is going to be all about Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger. Are they going to be healthy enough to go this week?
Yeah.
I think without them, it's, that's, what is it, 6.5? That 6.5 is going to be out the window, and who knows what it'll get to.
Yeah.
The Denver defense has been studs all year. They've shut down some of the best this year. And I think that defense is going to be good enough to maintain that spread.
Yeah. Manning, he's supposed to start this week, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm nervous about because he has been playing like garbage this year. So I don't know. Hopefully, the people of Denver, they can see the old Manning play, but he really hasn't really been playing up to standard this year. So especially coming off that injury, it's going to be interesting to see. But like you said, with Antonio Brown, I believe, he's with the concussion protocol right now, so I don't think he'll be able to play. But Roethlisberger, they don't have Roethlisberger and Brown. That's going to be tough for them, especially with how they're one of the top teams passing in the league. So with those two out and a stellar Denver defense, that's going to cause trouble for them.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I mean, I like Martavius Bryant, but especially if it ends up that it's Landry Jones throwing the ball to him.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. So it comes down to, can Ben get in and do something? And, I mean, not just be on the field, but actually be Ben Roethlisberger, because he's going to have to be, especially if he doesn't have his number one receiver.
Yeah.
It looks like D'Angelo Williams might make it back on the field. I think that will be a big help too. Fitz Toussaint and I can't even remember the other dude's name. They did an okay job last week, but I think they do need a real starting running back to go against Denver here.
Yeah.
Even Peyton out. My guess is maybe he's at 80-90% right now. I don't think he's 100% by any means, but he looked well enough when he came in, and
led that drive.
To give them that 1 seed. And he had another week to take off and rest, get back in practice, take those reps. I'm not saying he's going to be Peyton Manning from the Colts, but I think he'll be serviceable enough to be a very injured Ben Roethlisberger or a backup quarterback. So I think I'm kind of feeling either way it goes, this is probably Denver's game to lose.
I think Peyton Manning's going to be a little extra motivated. I think even he knows that this could be it for him. And he really wants that second Super Bowl, whether it's just for his own sake or to catch up with Eli. He really wants that second one, and part of moving to Denver was to get number 2. I think when he went there, it was the fit for him. I mean, he came into a great situation with Demaryius Thomas and now Emmanuel Sanders, but they've kind of had a quiet year offensively. Peyton Manning hasn't really been himself, and with very limited gameplay down the stretch for him. Is he going to be able to be Peyton Manning, or is he going to be the guy that's overthrowing receivers, underthrowing receivers, throwing interceptions? It's going to be he's definitely going to be the player to watch on the field, no matter who's in or out for this game.
Yeah, you did just mention a key word, Tyler, motivation. I think he's going to be pretty motivated when you just said that word, considering that report came out of him with the whole HGH issue. I think that's going to play a role in him wanting to actually perform more and go out there and help his team win a little bit extra more. So I think he's going to use that to his advantage and to help his team win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that situation will end up playing out, but putting that to the side, it's playoff time, and Peyton Manning is a professional, and I think he's throughout his career done a really good job of, keeping the off the field stuff off the field. He's never really brought any of the off the field stuff onto the field, and he's been pretty quiet in the public eye. This is really the first time something scrutinizing has come up on him, at least to this magnitude.
Yeah.
But I think when he steps on the field, he's gonna be ready to play. But I just don't know if he's had enough preparation leading into this moment to come out and really be Peyton Manning.
Yeah. All right, you got anything else to say, Darnell?
No, I think we about beat that one up.
Okay. What do you guys think the score will be?
Darnell, why don't you start us on this one?
Oh man, this one's just because of the factors. I'm gonna look at this one as if we do at least have Roethlisberger on the field. So
yeah, I think he will find a way to play. He's like I said, I don't like Pittsburgh because I'm a Ravens guy, but one thing I got to say is Roethlisberger, he's a tough guy. I think he's going to find a way to get on the field.
Yeah. Totally agree. I don't think he'll be himself, but he'll be on the field. And just going against Denver's D, and even if Peyton plays just okay, I think they win probably 20-10.
Okay.
Yeah, I see a little more scoring than that. I think Roethlisberger has the ability to still make plays when he's hurt. I think he's proven that. I can't remember exactly when it was, but he had that ankle injury and, was still out there making some big time throws. So I think even if he's hurt, he'll still be able to do enough to get more than 10 on the board. But I think it's going to be, 24-17 in favor of Denver.
Okay. I have 24-13 Denver. So, all right, a couple of other quick topics. Darnell, you brought this up to me last week. I think this would be a good little discussion to get ready to close the show off. But if you guys are on a team and you need a quarterback, who would you pick, RG3 or Manziel?
Yeah, Darnell, since it's your topic, you take the start here.
Well, here, I mean, I definitely would have to go the side of RG3 just because you can trust him not to be an idiot. I mean, RG3 has had some issues with just saying things on social media or saying things in a press conference that might piss the team off, but he's not going to just do what he wants to do. Like, you send him to rehab and everything. He's not going to be posting Instagram videos with beer cans next to him or wearing wigs and going for a night out in Vegas.
Yeah.
And also I feel like RG3 has been humbled by this Redskins situation where the next team that picks him up, he's going to come in ready to play and try to prove himself, because I do think he has that drive that doesn't want his legacy to end how it ended in Washington. I think he wants to go to another team and be able to succeed. So if it came down to those two, and also just on the field, I feel like he's built more to run an NFL offense. He's bigger. He has a better arm.
Mm-hmm.
And for both of them having the escapability, RG3 is faster. The measurables and what they have upstairs, I just can't see taking Manziel over RG3.
All right. I'll have to go with RG3 too. I think he's a little pissed off about how he was treated with the Redskins. So I think he's going to be extra motivated to go out there and accomplish whatever he needs to do with whoever picks him up. My whole issue with Manziel is kind of like this. The Cleveland Browns, they knew what they were getting into. They knew that this guy liked to party. They knew that this guy liked to flash. At the end of the day, the NFL is a business, you know. In business, sometimes you have to take a risk to end up getting a big reward. They took the risk with Manziel. The reward's not paying off. But another thing, too, is one of my favorite athletes of all time is Dennis Rodman. Now, yeah, people can say whatever they want to say about the guy off the court. But on the court, the guy was an absolute beast. And anybody that knows Dennis Rodman know that this guy liked to party. One thing for sure, this guy could probably drink Manziel under the table with how he used to go. But one thing with Rodman is that, you know, he used to go drink, he used to party, he used to get in trouble and everything. But one thing for sure, when he stepped out on the court, he did his thing. So I'm waiting to see, going to continue to see if Manziel, not saying that he hasn't had like a lot of issues that Rodman has had. Don't get me wrong. Of course, he's been having drinking issues and whatnot. But it's going to be interesting to see because this is only his, second year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see. Somebody's going to take a risk with him, but it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to be able to handle a starting gig and with more press coming his way. So he's a young guy. He has a lot he has to learn. But my key thing with him, you know, he's an adult. If he wants to party, go ahead. You know, he's a grown man. You can go do that. But at the end of the day, this is a business. When it comes to being out on that field, you're going to have to put up numbers.
Well, that's the thing, though. I see the parallel you're making there, but on the field or on the court side with how Rodman was looked at, nobody ever doubted that he knew what he had to do.
Yeah.
He always practiced hard. He always knew the tendency that he was considered one of the smartest defenders ever.
Yeah.
So he did his homework.
Yeah.
That's the part that Manziel doesn't translate. I'm pretty sure if he went out and had fun but was still showing up, was the first person in the film room and was taking extra reps after practice to get used to throwing his receivers, the Browns wouldn't have had as many issues with him. But it goes back to college. Johnny likes to remix plays. So go outside the pocket and do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work when you get to an NFL team.
Yeah, bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah. Is neither an option here? I mean, the way I see it, like, and I'll eventually pick one just because it's the topic of conversation here. But, you know, we have, you know, the guy who struggles off the field versus the guy who gets injured. And I don't know if you want to bring in Robert Griffin III, pay him money, and just see him, you know, with his foot in a boot on the sideline. I mean, I think that is going to be topic of conversation for a lot of teams who are going to be discussing RG3.
Yeah.
But, you know, like you guys said, I would rather have a guy you can trust.
Yeah.
I would rather have a guy that's not going to lie to the organization about where he's at and what he's doing. I think Manziel just needs maturity, and I don't know what it's going to take for him to get that. I think RG3 has, to a degree, proven himself to be able to play in the NFL. I mean, didn't he lead the Redskins to wild card round his rookie season?
Yeah.
And so I mean, he's proved he can play at this level. Just whether he can sustain it or not's going to be the issue. But at this point, I would have to go RG3 just based solely on the fact that they always say the quarterback is the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
And you don't want, you know, in essence, you know, a boy in Johnny Manziel taking a man's job and not being able to control himself, let alone try to control an entire offense.
Yeah.
And for the record, I'm pretty sure all three of us are drafting somebody before we sign either one of them.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
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 Once it comes to the time, I mean, if you can't get one of those, I think they're projecting 4 first-round quarterbacks,
Yeah.
then you may look at them as an option.
Yeah.
Now, where do you guys see them going if you were to predict where they would end up?
I'm pretty sure that Jerry Jones, is all on board for Johnny Manziel. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes to Dallas. Shout out to my brother. He's been saying that for months. He said Jerry Jones loves Manziel and he'll sell tickets down there and from Texas A&M. And
what would you think about that, Darnell?
He's going to be a hot commodity down there.
Well, it's a horrible decision for one.
Yeah.
And true, Jerry Jones does love Johnny, but Stephen Jones, his son, has been getting more control of the personnel.
Yeah, I don't.
He let Jerry have his decision last year with getting Hardy, and that caused a lot of an issue. And they're thinking about re-signing him. There's no way you can have a guy that has a history of beating women and saying stupid things about it on your team while also having your backup quarterback that also had an issue where he might have assaulted his girlfriend and a drinking problem to go along with it.
Yeah.
But I if you had to ask, I think Manziel, he might still end up in Texas, but it might be with Houston.
Yeah.
And I actually, funny enough, I think RG3 might end up in Dallas.
Wow.
I think they still might draft a quarterback too, but I think he might be there to sit behind Romo and learn for you too.
I really like that point because I think no matter where either of these two go, they're going to be competing for a job. I don't think either of them are going to go to a situation where they're going to be deemed the starter before they take a snap in, mini camp.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, you look at all these teams and teams you thought may have needed quarterbacks a year ago kind of solved some issues. Oakland really found their guy in Derek Carr. He had a great year. He finally had some weapons to throw to in Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree. And then down in Jacksonville, Blake Bortles, he had a big year. And I think he showed that he is an NFL quarterback and can lead that team.
There will be some teams looking for quarterback this year, though.
Yeah, there will. It's just really hard to tell this early.
Landing spots already. I could say St. Louis needs a quarterback.
Yep.
Philly needs a quarterback. San Francisco probably needs a quarterback. But they're all at the top of the draft, so it's probably going to be Goff, Cook, and the guy from Delaware State. I can never remember his name. But Mixon? No, that's Oklahoma's backup running back. Can't remember his name.
Let me look that up real quick.
All right.
But I definitely see all of those. I could see RG3 potentially in a San Francisco style offense where they're built for a mobile quarterback.
Especially hire Chip Kelly.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think Chip Kelly would be all about having a player like RG3. So I think it'll be interesting to see where these guys go.
Yeah. Speaking of Chip Kelly, real quick, they said he went to Alabama. Like, did you see him somehow getting on the staff somehow, Darnell?
I guess if Kiffin got a head coaching job, but I thought that was Brian Kelly that went down there. It was Chip.
Oh, was it Chip or Brian?
I think that was Brian Kelly.
Okay. Well, either way, some Kelly, I guess. Yeah, Chip Kelly helped Alabama win a national championship game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how that will fit with Bama, but Lane Kiffin's pretty much been doing his thing. Did you find it yet, Ty?
You said Delaware State, right?
Yeah.
The quarterbacks on their roster, I don't even know who you'd be looking for, but it looks like Gil Rivera is a junior.
No.
Then there's Kobe Lane. He was a freshman, so it wouldn't be him. And then some guy with the last name of Obodo. So maybe it's not Delaware State, but yeah, I don't know.
You said a quarterback there now?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, we can just move on, though.
Yeah. But to close this up, what's something that you guys have either heard this week or are looking forward to seeing this week, sports related?
It wouldn't surprise me if you both agree with what I'm about to say, but Monday, we got a big NBA matchup. We got the Golden State Warriors traveling to Cleveland.
Oh, that's gonna be
I think that's going to be a great game to watch. It's going to be great TV. You know, it's going to be star-filled. Cleveland has Kyrie Irving back.
Yeah.
I think.
And real quick, Tyler, just in case of people wondering, what about NBA, MMA, and stuff? We're going to talk about that. Just this is heavy in football.
Yeah, we will be. Yeah, we will be covering that. But with the position we're in right now, it's football time. So we're going to be hitting that. Yeah, we're going to be hitting that heavy. But Monday night, 8:00. It's going to be a good matchup. That'll be a fun watch. There's no Monday Night Football, so I think we're going to see a lot of basketball start to come up as some must-watch TV pretty soon here.
Oh, yeah, it's starting to come on Sundays early, too, so soon. So, all right, what about you? Well, I can go. One thing, I'm starting to get bigger and bigger on the UFC, so they announced that 197, I don't know what they're going to do for 200 with McGregor, but they announced that McGregor, he's going to fight Dos Anjos and Misha Tate and Holly Holm are going to be fighting as well. So they actually announced that this week. Not really a huge fan of McGregor. I'm going to be pulling for the Brazilian since McGregor knocked out my favorite guy in the UFC, Jose Aldo. So I think that's going to be interesting. I don't know if McGregor's going to be ready for that weight class, but I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to end quick. So I'm looking forward for the, I believe it's March 5th, I want to say, but whenever that UFC 197, I think that's going to be a nice fight card.
Well, mine is also UFC related, but it's coming up this week. But I'm looking to see Dominic Cruz and TJ Dillashaw.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's going to be who you got now.
I got Dillashaw still, but
okay.
It's going to be an interesting fight if Cruz if his ACLs are working right.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, that it was North Dakota State. Sorry, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz.
Okay.
Yeah, they just won FCS.
Yeah, they won.
So.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Shout out there to North Dakota State.
Yeah. So, anything else you guys want to say?
Just another exciting week of football, good week in sports coming up. College basketball's taking flight. We saw 3 upsets yesterday.
Yeah.
So
I think another today.
Yep. Clemson beat Duke.
Wow.
So college basketball.
4 top 10 teams go down this week.
So college basketball is getting fun. It's
Kentucky's gonna have to snap it up, man.
Yeah, they're saying North Carolina could potentially be the number 1 after this week, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm just seeing reports, but
yeah,
we'll wait and see. It's been a good start to that year, so it'll be fun going forward.
Yeah, definitely. So, anybody else? Any other closing statements?
No, it's just like we said, good week of sports. The past, another fun week to look ahead to, and we're getting less football games, so also transitioning into the other sports. So
yeah.
Yep. Follow us, DKM_cast on Twitter. Be sure to follow us and tune in every week.
Yeah.
We'll be tweeting out the show links on there too.
Yes, and like I said, I got everything together now, especially how to upload it to YouTube, but also put it on yourlisten.com. But you can look for the show to be late nights Wednesday on those platforms, or it's going to be on Thursday for sure now. So appreciate you guys listening.
Peace.
All right, peace.
We'll see you guys.
All right, take it easy.